Welcome to Pecan Corner. Today I'm going to make artist charcoal. This is vine charcoal and it's made with grapevines. Artist charcoal is really good for drawing with because it's very soft. You can blend it. Just use your finger to blend it. I'm not the best drawer in the world, but it's also expensive but it's very inexpensive to make. And this is some that I made the other day, and it came out great. You can use any kind of small sticks. Most of the time it's made with what they call different kinds of vines. But you can make it out if you don't have vines, if you don't have grapevines. That's what I'm using today is grapevines. If you don't have grapevines, you can use other kinds of vines, or you could use, like I said, any kind of stick. You need to use about 2-year-old wood because that's what'll be thick enough and stable enough. And you want to cut it into pieces that are about the length that you'd want to use it at, which is just about this length. Let me see if I can get this out here. Okay. Sorry folks, I'm not much of a... Alright, now let's see if I can get this where you can see what I'm doing. Alright, now then, I want to try to make these in the sizes that are easiest to use. This is easy size to use. And so I'm going to cut it into pieces. I was saying you need to use 2-year-old wood because it does need to be fairly thick. This piece is fairly thin. This other one here that I'm going to cut on is a little bit thicker. And I'm using my kitchen shears. What did I remember? I told you I use my kitchen shears for all kinds of interesting things. There we go. And if you have this bark on there, I'm just going to peel this bark off because it doesn't help the process in any way. So let me just peel that off. And I just cut these off of my grapevines. Where I will be pruning them anyway. And that way I'm not hurting my vines at all. Just using wood that I would be taking off anyway. Now I'm going to finish cutting these, and then I'm going to. There we go. Well, I'm going to finish cutting these, and then I'll be back. By the way, if you don't have kitchen shears, I do have little saws, but it's cold outside and I don't want to have to go out and get them. So you can also use a serrated knife. Just a serrated knife would work just fine on the cutting board. And as you saw, that just sawed right through that. I'm really bad about using my serrated knives as little saws. They work great. I've always done that. It never hurts the knife. Not if it's a good knife. And if it's not a good knife, do you really want it anyway? This one is a case, but I found it secondhand. So I was pretty happy to get that. See how easy those are? Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my pieces all cut into pieces, and now I'm going to you can use a can and then if you have a smaller one that'll fit down inside it, and then just invert that inside of it so that you've got them in cans. But the simplest thing, if you have it, is just to use some, to do a small amount anyway, is just to use some aluminum foil. And this is not heavy duty foil, this is just regular foil. And it has a few holes in it. But I'm going to just mash it together good there. And then I'm going to wrap Wrap it in a second layer. It needs to, what you need to do is protect it from the air getting into it. It needs a little space for the air to come out, but that'll just come out naturally with this wrap. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. And now I'm just going to go stick it in the fire. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm putting this down on the coals down there, and I'm going to leave it down in there for 30 minutes. Okay, time's up. Now I'm going to put these. Now I don't want to unwrap them until they're cooled off. Just taking them out of the stove right now, and I'm going to let them sit until they're cool. I'm going to set it up there for a few minutes, and then I'll move them to another spot to finish cooling off. Alrighty. It's important not to open this up until it cools off completely, because the whole point is you're keeping oxygen away from it while it's burning. And so when it burns in that anaerobic, is that the word? When it burns in that without the oxygen, that's what makes it into charcoal instead of turning it into ash. And this is the same method that you guys that use char-cloth, if you do fire making as a hobby and you use char-cloth for that, you could make that with this method. I don't use that. You've seen my lighters and matches and magnifying glasses that I carry around in case I ever needed to make a fire. So now we're gonna, and there we go. There's just a nice new batch of artist charcoal, and it works just as well as any that you might have bought. This works perfectly. There we go. All right, so there we are. I hope that you'll have some fun with this. You can use it for drawing with, and it's the same principle that you'd use to make lump charcoal with. It's kind of, charcoal is a kind of an interesting thing once you start fiddling with it. So I hope that you, like I said, hope you'll enjoy it, and hope that you'll give this a try. All right, thanks a bunch.